Hey everybody, welcome in to episode 13. Today we're going to be discussing IBS-C. It's a rapidly growing epidemic affecting tens of millions of people, and I have it. And we're going to discuss all the things that go along with it and how dehydration, electrolytes, and trace minerals play into it. But we're going to do a little bit different. We're going to have Dr. Whiting kind of interview me about this hellish experience that I'm going through.
And indeed, it is much more complicated than most people realize, and I think maybe even most physicians realize. It has come to my attention over the last year or so that there are a lot of things that physicians are not informing patients who have this problem properly. And those areas are dehydration and, of course, electrolyte and other trace mineral depletion, which goes out with the fluid. You see, how these medications work is they draw fluid from the soft tissues of the body, and that fluid is then accelerating its elimination, and along with it go electrolyte minerals and other trace minerals. So, and dehydration can be a rather unpleasant experience. So, you were diagnosed with IBS-C, almost 19 months ago. Yeah. What has been your experience so far?
Well, it is pure hell. I think that the word IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, is kind of silly. And I think that adding the C to the end for constipation is also kind of silly. Because I think that the majority of Americans at some point in their lives are going to have IBS, and at some point in their lives are going to be constipated. Those two things, there's millions of people living with them that are perfectly manageable. But IBS-C is different for almost everybody that has it. And I have the version that if I do anything wrong, get overheated, get too angry, get too happy, get too excited, eat the wrong thing, which I can't eat anything compared to what I used to eat. And it all happens overnight. If I do any of those things, I have extreme full body pain, head to toe, 24/7. And when I first went into this 19 months ago, you could see that they didn't know what it is. And at first they think you have cancer. So they want to do all the cancer tests, and colon cancer, blood cancer, bone cancer. And once they clear all of those up, they finally come to the term that you have IBS-C. And you get to try to manage it. And if you Google it, it will say origin unknown. And if you ask most physicians, they will completely admit they don't know what it is. And the protocol is a medication with an antidepressant, and which to me is kind of reckless, but hey, I'm not the professional. The antidepressant didn't work, and the first 6 pain medications didn't work because I'm allergic to them, and I'm allergic to many medications. So for somebody like me, I am really in between a rock and a hard place, and that's kind of been my whole experience.
Yeah, for sure. Tell us a little bit about the medications. There's a few different ones. There's one primary one used here in the U.S., and they have a couple of others that are showing promise that are used in Europe, primarily Switzerland. So how do they make you feel? What do they do? Do they work?
Well, the antidepressants seem to, I don't know the science of it, but they seem to take away some of the full body pain. There's some kind of way that it does that. But the side effect from the antidepressant of being extremely happy for the first couple months and then it getting very dark was very scary. So then I had to get off of that. And then the pain medications they give you to go to sleep, I'm either allergic to most of them, or most of them make me feel so bad that it's no better than the condition itself. So the thing that I think we're discussing today is Linzest is one of the main ones to help out and to do that drawing of the water everywhere into the body to take that pain off. But Linzest takes all the water from all the organs, and then I couldn't sleep because I couldn't take the pain meds. But what I learned was I was having dehydration to where you're so dehydrated you have insomnia. So that was the next step that I had to tackle in this situation.
Yeah.
And we combated that. I first combated that with Pedialyte that was unsweetened. And, you know, some people can drink coconut water for dehydration. Well, I'm kind of allergic to coconut water, so I can't drink coconut water. So I had to drink unflavored Pedialyte. And then, lo and behold, Dr. Whiting said, well, if the Pedialyte's working for you good, why not try some of the best trace minerals? And I did, and it made it even better.
Yeah. Yeah, people don't realize, and we're going to be getting into that later on in this series today, but what people don't realize is that the human body takes in and it expels. And that's going on constantly. And just think if that didn't happen, well, you'd become toxic and poison yourself in a matter of days.
Yeah.
So it is important that the body can do that. But if you're taking a medication such as the ones that are being used, it accelerates the displacement of minerals and subsequently dehydration. In addition to that, which is significant enough in itself, do you think that there are other things that physicians miss in advising patients of these, what they should be aware of?
Well, I think they should be aware of the B complexes for stress, because this is obviously something that puts your body and your mind through a lot of stress, going from a functional, healthy, productive, extremely health-minded person and changing them like that into a just not even half of what they used to be. I think they don't know. And I think that's why they say what they say and they prescribe the things like antidepressants or like these extreme pain meds, which are probably very helpful for people that can take them, but I can't. And so along the lines of supplementation, B complex, calcium, magnesium, both magnesium, citrate and
glycinate.
Yeah. And then if you can take it, probably a probiotic or something like that. But I was already doing all those things, fiber and probiotic, before all this happened, and now I can't do those things. So it's a lot of learning, and it's extremely frustrating sometimes. But I'm still fighting. I'm still getting through it.
Well, and I think because there's so many people that suffer from this, I think the message we'd like to leave them, if they're watching this, because they too have it, is that it's a long road. It's a longer road for some than for others, but there are ways around it. And if you're taking the conventional medication, which I believe is Linzest, and it's not working for you or not working well, there are some options that are available that are much lesser known here in America, but you can seek them out and give them a try. And so hang in there.
and what I did was I researched what I had a tip from a friend, a young friend, that said, hey, you should try to see how they're treating this condition in Switzerland, since Switzerland has the best healthcare system that there is in the world. And I did it, and lo and behold, I found is Ibsrela. It's IBS-C, and it's very new here in America. It's so new in America that when they filled it at the pharmacy, they didn't know what it was. And so she had to research it before talking to me, which was good because I wanted to know the research and how to switch from Linzess to that. But it's showing a lot more promise, and I'm here talking to Dr. Whiting with you on camera. So this is obviously a somewhat of a good day.
It's getting better by the minute.
Next up, we have calcium absorption, osteoporosis, and all the videos on YouTube that are just ridiculous. The ones that you see on YouTube that you know are ridiculous, and they say stuff like, if you take calcium, you're guaranteed osteoporosis. Or if you take calcium, you're guaranteed to have weaker bones. And there I bring in Dr. Whiting, the expert, because these videos, they say that taking calcium supplements do all these things, and that the bones are made of minerals, not calcium by itself. Is that correct?
Yes and no. First of all, calcium is the main mineral that makes up bone tissue. But is it the only one? No. When these people say that taking calcium causes bone loss, that's nonsense, first of all. But they're correct in saying that taking calcium alone is not an optimal solution. Yeah. That is true, because all nutrients work together, especially minerals. And there are a host of minerals that help support absorption of calcium. See, calcium is the most difficult mineral for the human body to absorb, especially after the age of 40 or 50. And we need all the help we can get, basically. So we're looking at magnesium, manganese, copper, zinc as the main trace minerals supportive. Think of them as wheels on a little wagon that are transporting the calcium back to bone tissue. And one of the minerals that they never talk about on these videos is the trace mineral strontium. Clinically, strontium has been shown to increase calcium absorption and improve bone loss by as much as 10-fold. The secret to strontium, which we discovered a few years ago, is that, oddly enough, it has to be taken at a different time of the day from the calcium. So if you got a calcium supplement with strontium in it, unless it is enteric coated, it's probably not the best result. And granted, for years we had no idea about this, but nutrition is an evolving science, and we learn things all the time. And not that it was bad, but it wasn't as effective. So now we recommend for people with more serious bone loss situations to take a strontium supplement at a different time of the day from the rest of their mineral supplements, and it works quite well.
So with that, all the minerals are strontium, boron, chromium, iron, manganese, magnesium, silica, sulfur, selenium, potassium, phosphorus, and zinc are what make up the bones, right?
That and other trace minerals as well.
Okay.
Yes.
So discuss the phosphorus part for the people watching.
All right. Phosphorus is calcium's opposite.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought magnesium was.
Well, magnesium works in conjunction.
Okay.
But chemically, phosphorus is an opposite to calcium. So what that means is that, and phosphorus is a more powerful electromagnetic mineral than calcium. Calcium is relatively weak. So when you have a high phosphorus diet, it tends to displace or remove calcium from the body. And phosphorus can be found in protein foods, but most especially here in, well, not just here anymore, but around the world now, phosphorus is found in mega doses in soft drinks.
Oh, okay.
Especially colas.
And what does that do for the soda?
It preserves it, it stabilizes it, and it displaces all the calcium out of your bones. You can find it on a label. They're not hiding it.
Yeah.
It's called phosphoric acid.
Phosphoric acid, okay.
And that phosphorus, when if you have an occasional soda, and by the way, phosphoric acid is primarily in cola beverages, not in other flavors or brands. It's in colas.
Okay.
And if you have one now and then, it's all right. But you have to keep in mind that there are millions of people who live off of those things all day long.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter whether it's the full leaded version or the diet version. They both still contain phosphoric acid. So from that point of view, one is not better than the other. But I mean, I've counseled people over the years who routinely consume 6 or 8 of those cans of soda every day. And they wonder why they have brittle bone problems. Huh. Well, it's not a mystery.
Wow. So what various factors can enhance calcium?
Well, first of all, you want to take the right form of calcium. Keep in mind that all calcium begins as calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate is the base form of calcium. It's found in rocks and shells and eggshells and seashells and cliffs of Dover and all kinds of places. And it is extremely hard to absorb after the age of 45 or 50. So we have to play some chemical magic. And that magic, the first thing, is acidifying the calcium.
Yeah. Remember
that minerals absorb in an acid, not an alkaline. And so we use a process called chelation. And chelation means to bind. So what we are doing is we're binding that calcium carbonate with an acid. Citric acid, ascorbic acid, malic acid,
and that's going to help
amino
the absorption.
Acid, and that's going to drive the absorption potential up many, many times. So that's the first thing we have to do. Second thing we have to do is to make sure that the calcium is properly broken down. In other words, it's not chunky. We want to get that calcium as fine a powder as we possibly can. And ideally, we would like to get it to the colloidal size or state, because colloids are so small that they can pass through cell membranes, which is why a plant-based trace mineral supplement that provides all 60 known trace minerals for the human body is highly acidic. It's got a pH of usually 4 on the scale, and it is also in a colloidal form. So in other words, the particles are so small, they do not have to be broken down. Once they enter the exterior fluids of the body around cells, they can pass through the cell membrane without any further assistance, which is nice.
Well, that's amazing, and that's a little bit deeper than our other video about absorption, so that was some good information. Another one that I wanted to talk about was a product that I see that you might have seen this. If you're researching calcium on the internet and you're on YouTube, you've probably seen this. They talk about a product called Wild Yam Cream to boost progesterone, in turn strengthening bones. What are your thoughts on that?
Increasing progesterone has proven to be a very viable factor in maintaining bone integrity. There's no doubt about that. However, the so-called wild yam creams, they were a big hit 10 years ago.
Yeah.
People were smearing that stuff all over them. And unfortunately, wild yam cream contains no progesterone whatsoever. And it may stimulate progesterone production, but not very effectively. Today we know that the best thing to use is progesterone cream, which is relatively widely available without a prescription. And you apply pure progesterone cream, and you're going to get the benefit that the wild yam cream makers say you'll get, but you won't.
And then lastly, I think that everyone already knows that strength training and keeping your body moving for your bones is always a right thing to do, because that's what's going to help them stay strong.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Resistance exercise, pushing against resistance.
Yeah.
So weight training, strength training using your own body weight, especially of the legs and arms, because the long bones respond to resistance, and that resistance makes them thicker and stronger. So resistance exercise has long been proven to be vitally important in maintaining bone density integrity.
Yeah. Well, great. Next up, the first week in July is National Childhood Obesity Week, and we are talking about kids ages 11 and above. Did you ever think that in your wildest dreams that we would be having a conversation about obesity in 2024?
Not of kids, anyway. I always had a fear that it was coming because you could see the writing on the wall already for 2 or 3 decades. But now that it's here, diet is the number one thing, of course.
Yeah.
And now that it's here, now that we have a full-blown epidemic, it's not only disturbing, it's saddening.
Yeah.
What we're doing to our kids. And the solution to this problem, now that Pandora's been let out of the box, is not going to be an easy one.
Yeah. And so what supplements would help benefit kids that are 11 and up that are morbidly obese or obese, like blood sugar support from Phoenix Nutritionals or the high vitality liquid for Phoenix Nutritionals? Are those safe? And would you think that if a parent wanted to help their kid 11 or above, they should talk to their doctor about taking those kind of supplements?
Yes, and then keep your fingers crossed you have a doctor who even knows what those are. But let's suppose that they do. One of the biggest problems, of course, is, as we just mentioned, is diet in these kids. They're constantly ingesting enormous amounts of sugar or sugar-forming foods.
Yeah.
Refined carbohydrates, sweets, snacks, soft drinks.
And then they go stare at their phone all day and don't move.
Right. That's the second problem with this, is inactivity. But we can't do much about inactivity chemically, but by giving them a good full spectrum supplement like high vitality liquid, which is easy to give them because you can measure it according to their body weight. And that way you can be assured to give them the right dosage. As a standard rule of thumbs, we use 1 teaspoon of the high vitality liquid for every 20 pounds of their body weight.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty easy. And then the blood sugar support is the same formula that we use in adults. And I would use, obviously, 1 capsule per day rather than the recommended amount for adults. Although it's going to be kind of difficult to OD these kids because they're not skinny. Otherwise, they wouldn't have this problem. They got plenty of heft to them as far as body weight. So it's not a super critical condition. But what the blood sugar support formula does for adults can also be helpful for kids in that it reduces the cravings, the obsessive cravings for starch, sugar, etc. And do not kid yourself, folks. Carbohydrate, refined carbohydrate and sugar is a bona fide addiction. Don't let anybody ever tell you otherwise. And it's an addiction in children as well as teens as well as adults.
Yep.
And it is, I have worked with mostly adults and teens over the years because 10, 20 years ago we didn't have that many fat kids. Yeah. But now, of course, that situation is changing. But I have had so many of these people tell me, You don't understand. This is an addiction.
Yeah.
This was harder for me to quit than booze. This was like my cousin who was addicted to cocaine. I mean, this stuff it's an obsession. I wake up in the middle of the night and all I can do is think about sugar, sweets, candy, cake, donuts. And I've learned that these people can't all be wrong. I mean, this is a terrible situation. And it's no different in our kids, of course.
Yeah. Well, if you know somebody that needs help, that's a good place to start for them. And we're always available to discuss it. Next up, I'm really excited about this one. We're going to talk about yellow pea and riboflavin and new customers. Quite often we get new customers from every single place you can ever think of, from social media to referrals to just every single different place where we get our customers from. When they come in and they start to take our vitamins, and they say they've been taking vitamins before, but then they take our vitamin, which is a real full spectrum vitamin. No nonsense, full on a real vitamin. And I don't take that lightly. This is, in my opinion, one of the only real vitamins on the market. None of them are complete. None of them have the right absorption ratio. None of that stuff. And when somebody starts taking our product, all of a sudden they have yellow pea. And they always say, I just paid for this expensive vitamins and all I see myself is peeing it out. What does the fluorescent bright yellow pea mean? And does it mean they're peeing the vitamin out?
Well, the answer to that is, once again, yes and no. First of all, that bright yellow fluorescent color comes from the B vitamin riboflavin, which is vitamin B2.
Yeah.
It is a byproduct of the metabolism of riboflavin. And everyone says, oh, well, why should I bother to take it if I'm just peeing it out? Please, folks, understand how your body works. Everything that you take in eventually has to come out. That's called the balance of the body. And in order to maintain homeostasis or balance, it is absolutely essential that the body be able to metabolize and eliminate the byproducts of everything that you consume, whether it be foods, nutrients, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, antioxidants, or whatever.
Yeah.
The body can store things for only a certain period of time. And once that's over, the body needs to eliminate whatever is left, whatever residual, whatever byproducts from the process of utilization. Does that mean your body's not utilizing it? Absolutely not. It means quite the contrary. It means that your body is processing it, utilizing it, and then eliminating it. And keep in mind that most nutrients, most all vitamins, and virtually all minerals are water soluble. And they're only going to have a lifetime in your body of a fixed period of time. And they're eventually going to get eliminated, which is why we always tell you, take your supplements every day. Not just when you remember, not just by some weird conjunction of the stars in the heavens. Just take it every day. There's all kinds of things. I mean, you wouldn't think of eating once or twice a week, and you eat for nutrients. So the same as with your supplements. Take them as directed and take them every single day. And that way you will have a continuous supply or a continuous bioavailability of these nutrients when your body needs more or less.
There you go. That wraps up episode 13. And I hope all the yellow pea people are happy that they got a good description of what it really is, and explain to them that they are not wasting anything. Their body is doing what it's supposed to do. Have a good one.